Good evening, everybody. So welcome to the first Raleigh Astronomy Club Imaging Group meeting for 2022. Tonight's subject matter will be the Imaging Target Challenge, Andromeda Galaxy, or M31. So the Imaging Target Challenge is something that we put together early November, and we just wanted to basically get everybody involved in taking an image of the assigned target for the challenge. And so the whole point of it was just to see what anybody can come up with just about any kind of setup. So yeah, the criteria was to pick a target that is accessible to almost any kind of setup, where it be just a camera sitting on a tripod. Would it be a camera that has equatorial tracking, like a barn door tracker that we talked about earlier, or the Sky Adventure, which is one of the most popular small size equatorial mounts, if you want to call it that, all the way down to, or all the way up rather, to a telescope sitting on an equatorial mount tracking the sky, as being the most sophisticated kind of setup that you would use in an imaging target challenge. So we assigned the target, we assigned the challenge, and you have 3 months to capture and process your image. And the images you capture must come from the 3-month window and not from old data. So no cheating, guys. So the whole point, is to challenge yourself to see what you can come up with whatever setup you choose. Something I would like to tell people is not to hold back too much on saying that, I've got this set up right here. It'll totally, rock the boat here or whatever, and or not rock the boat, excuse me. Another one I was looking for, rock the Casbah. So anyways, yeah, I mean, like, for example, if you're so used to using the focal length of, like, say, 500 millimeters, and your DSLR camera that you've gone out using every single time that you go out to take an image of the night sky, well, kick it to another level and say, like, do like a mosaic of the surrounding area of the target that's been assigned, or if you have access to other types of lenses out there, whether it be a bigger telescope or a camera lens, and see what you can come up with that. So it's all about challenging yourself, not challenging the rest of the club with whatever you can come up with. So anyways, here, I'll stop sharing my screen, and who would like to go first and share your results that you got of the current target?
I can go ahead, Chris, if you want.
Okay, Steve Christensen. Okay, you're up.
Okay, hang on. Is that working?
Yes, it is.
All right. All right. So I made it based on what Chris just said. I may have cheated a little bit, because I didn't, this part of it isn't from the last 3 months. This is from 2015, this first image. I was out of the country for about a month in the last 3 months, so imaging anything was difficult. But what I did was I decided that to get any kind of LRGD type stuff, I would go back and see what I had. So I went back to January 2015, so 7 years ago now. And back then, a bunch of us went out to Carl's house near Lewisburg, and I took my StellarView 102 triplet, Canon 60D, out there and tried Andromeda, which is, I was really new at this back then. I had the Orion Atlas mount that I bought from Chris at the time. So I just aimed it at Andromeda to see what I could get. And I saw on my screen that I actually got the galaxy. So I took 41 90-second images of it, and then processed in some really old version of PixInsight, and probably not Photoshop CC, but Photoshop 6 or something back then. And so this is what I got. So I went and dug out this particular image from that period of time. And then I added to it this, which was from the time discussed in November, with a whole brand new system of telescope and well, the telescope was the same actually. No, this telescope was a stellar view 70 millimeter with a 0.8 focal reducer, and my ASI 2600 camera. And then I took 61-minute exposures with a ZWO luminance filter and 18 10-minute exposures with a 3 nanometer chroma filter. I've moved to chroma filters now for all my narrowband things, the 3 nanometer things. And this is on my newer Orion Atlas Pro mount. And so what I did is I took the luminance and I took the HA and just put those together just so I could see the star forming regions in Andromeda without any other color. And this is kind of what I got with that. And then when I got back in early January.
Why is it red? I mean,
well, that's because typically hydrogen alpha is
right, but you took it from the mono camera, but then you
mono camera with an H alpha filter, and then I made it red because that's what you typically do with H alpha when you're combining it with LRGB things.
right.
So this shows, so those red areas, the bright red areas are star forming regions in Andromeda. And so I was curious to see what I would get when I did this. Okay, then I decided, well, I'm going to try to combine the two. So I did that. So I took those two images that I just showed you and I took them into PixInsight and aligned the star alignment with that. And so I got two images with the star aligned. And I took those two images out of PixInsight into Photoshop CC and combined them. And then played around with noise and focusing and sharpening and just the colors and things like that, just to see what I could get. So this is a 7-year-old picture plus a 3-month-old picture with very different filters and different cameras and everything, just to see what was possible. So that's what I got from this little project. And that's all I've got.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm looking at that thing. It looks like yeah, I mean, obviously because there's so much hydrogen there, it's kind of biased towards, you know, the warm area, the visible spectrum, if you will. Have you thought about going out somewhere dark again and see if you can get a little more of the shorter wavelengths, like, you know, blue and a little bit of magenta or something?
With all the new cameras and filters I've got, yes, that's possibility. But I could probably just do it from here as well. But I'd have to give it a try and see what comes up of it. But I was, like I said, I was gone and I didn't have the time to do that. I would have done that normally had I not been in Europe. But yeah, so it's some. I mean, I certainly intend to do more Andromeda as time goes on with the new equipment that I've got. So
well, actually, Steve, can you go back to your hydrogen alpha?
yeah.
Okay, so one thing that I like about this image right here is that one, it's hydrogen alpha, so you know, or you can do this as this is narrowband imaging, so you can do it in under polluted skies. But one thing that's really nice about it is, yes, it does highlight concentrated areas of hydrogen alpha nebulae where star forming regions and whatnot are. But you know, you can see how widespread the hydrogen alpha wavelength is in there. And I think what's nice about this right here in the long run, as far as what you showed us with the combined image, if you look at this image, you can see how the dust lanes are way more silhouetted than they would be in that image that you took of the visible
Yeah.
or the RGB image that you took.
Yeah.
So when you go to combine these, like you're saying, yeah, it will contrast the lanes a lot better than what you could get, like, say, if in a very, very dark place.
Right.
So that's something I never did think about right there. But okay, who would like to go next?
I could
I'll
go.
volunteer. It's Colin Henderson. I want to go before Naveen because
Go for it.
mine will pale by comparison once you've seen his.
It's a challenge. That's why they call it, the imaging challenge.
All right, I'm trying to share my screen here.
Oh, that's
All
not
right.
bad at all.
Yeah, I have some color. I finally managed to get this, and I have a question for people. I just use my DSLR, which is an Icon D7500, and it does have a reasonable red response. And Naveen actually suggested to me one day that I try taking the California Nebula to see, and I actually got a pretty good image of the California Nebula. So, the response seemed to be pretty good for that. But I recently got a filter, which is, has the narrow band for hydrogen alpha and then wider band for oxygen 3 and hydrogen beta. Now, I was wondering if I take an RGB image with that filter on it, and then I throw away is that not almost like a hydrogen alpha picture? I was thinking of trying to take a series and then doing that, throwing away, just keeping the red, and then trying to merge that in to see if I can get some of the hydrogen alpha coloration.
Okay, so
here.
Colin, let me get this straight. You took you used that filter, took an image.
Well, I haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm wondering. Like this one was pure RGB.
Okay. Well, I mean, by that definition, yeah. If it's filtering out or toning down other wavelengths and because you don't really want to say it's enhancing your wavelengths. It's just allowing the specific wavelengths of the filter is allowing through the passing wavelengths. And so if it's hydrogen alpha that's coming through there, yeah, technically you can just use that as red data. But you may want to use it as sort of like luminance, like Steve did. Steve Christensen, that combined image you did, that was just using hydrogen alpha as a luminance layer, right?
No, I had a luminance layer. It was combined luminance plus hydrogen alpha.
Oh, okay, all right. So you put a hydrogen, you used hydrogen alpha and made a luminance layer out of hydrogen alpha.
Well, in effect, yes. I combined both. So
okay.
In Photoshop, I had a luminance layer and I had a hydrogen alpha layer, and I played back and forth with those until I brought out the hydrogen alpha areas that I wanted to bring out. Okay, I mean, I played around for hours with fiddling until I got something that I thought showed those red areas. And so that was manipulating the luminance layer and the HA layer. So,
okay.
And then I combined those with the RGB layer from the old image.
Okay, well, Colin, when you're talking about what's the name of this filter? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, the Optolong L Enhance.
L Enhance. Okay, so it's made to, like you're saying, allow oxygen 3 and hydrogen alpha to be the most prominent wavelengths that get that
right.
path.
And
Okay.
It seemed to me if I threw away the green and the blue, I'm throwing away the any O3, and what's left would be roughly hydrogen alpha, right?
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. One thing about that though, I don't think anybody here has done it. I mean, Steve just may have done it before, but I highly doubt you're going to see much in the way of oxygen 3 here. So, well, what I'm getting at is that what you may end up seeing mostly probably will just be hydrogen alpha minus all the other background wavelengths that are coming through the filter. So you may not have to throw away any of it. Who knows? Yeah.
Well, when I first got the filter, I had it in the telescope, and I forgot that it was there. And I did take a couple of pictures of Andromeda with it, and they turned out very green. And I was having a tough time, getting the green, getting rid of the green. I wound up throwing them away. I said, well, I shouldn't have used that filter in the first place because it's not the right place to use it. So, but I was thinking, this occurred to me just in the last week that. Throwing away the green and the blue and just keeping the H alpha or the red. So I was thinking of going out and, spending an hour or two, trying to capture some more with that filter in and then see what I can do. But I just wondering if anybody had ever tried that or any, something similar before I go and waste another 2 hours capturing something I'm going to throw away.
Was your entire image green? Or was it?
Yeah, the green and, doing my best with color calibration, everything else. I just couldn't quite get rid of the green. It always had a green cast to it.
I think what you needed to do was get your camera, put that filter in, and then go outside when it's sunny and take a picture of a white piece of paper and use that as a custom white balance. I don't know if I don't know how that works on Nikons. I know how that works on Canons. I mean, because when you get a modified Canon camera, it's going to pick up infrared wavelengths, and you need to, tell it what white looks like. So you go outside when it's sunny, take a picture of a piece of paper, and you tell the camera, use this color white in this image as your white balance. And so that'd be my guess. That you said that you tried all the different kinds of color calibrations and you couldn't get it to behave. But that would be my guess. You may need to make a custom white balance using that.
What software were you using to process these things?
PixInsight.
Okay.
I know that the L enhance lets in hydrogen beta as well as hydrogen alpha along with the O3.
Well, and it's also a pretty broad
Right.
bandpass there too, so it's letting in a whole lot of other stuff. But Colin, just in theory, I think it's worth giving a shot if you wanted to see if you can pull some red, especially since you said you pulled some hydrogen alpha, obviously out of California Nebula. And I haven't tried it with a DSLR, but I've done it with a one-shot color astronomy camera with the L Extreme filter.
Yeah, with the L Extreme is much narrower bands than the L Enhance.
Yeah, the L Enhance would be harder to get, like narrow in on like O3, but for HA, I think it's not too bad. It's what, 12 nanometers, something like that.
Yeah, it's in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not too much wider than the L Extreme is 7. So.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Anyway, that's my my image.
Nice image. All right, I guess I'm up then. Oops, I did not mean to go that. All right, so this is my rendition of Andromeda. I started off, I think it was in November, just saying I was going to get like an hour of red, green, and blue, but because my field of view, I was going to have to do a mosaic. So this is 2 panels. I got my RGB, so I had 6 hours of data, and I'd been playing around with changing how I did luminance. I'd taken a lot of luminance for Pleiades, like 30-second exposures. I have right now 6 hours of data. It's a lot of files. And so I was thinking, well, what if I took longer exposures paired with short exposures and then did HDR composition? So I started with this one. I was like, well, I don't have any luminance for it yet, so let me try it. So I ended up getting 4 hours of luminance for each panel for another 8 hours of data. Well, almost 4 each, and then a short number of 15. So that was 5-minute exposures, and then a bunch of 15-second exposures. And it worked out. So I'm starting to do that now with other targets and with my color RGB filters as well. But then I couldn't leave it. I was like, okay, I want to see the nebula. So I started getting some hydrogen alpha data. I only got about 2.5 hours for each panel. So it was pretty noisy in the background. So I wasn't able to pull out like the nice gradients and that Steve was able to do. But I had to pop at least some of the denser regions within the galaxy. So this is total across the 2 panels of just shy of 20 hours from my backyard.
Very good. So going by what I'm seeing on my screen there, it looks like the image has a little bit of, or doesn't have enough blue in it.
Okay.
I mean, it just looks a little bit on the yellow side for me. It's like, because I know that I don't know what the name of that star is, but it's there, center top right there. I know that's supposed to be more blue than that.
Okay.
So
That's interesting. So what I typically do in my processing now is I extract the stars in PixInsight with Star Exterminator, and then this after photometric color calibration. Then I don't mess with the star colors, and I only add them in as like right before I add a small watermark. So I wonder what happened to the star.
Okay, so you do, all right, star field individually.
Yeah. Yeah, the only things I'll do to the stars, you know, a small pass of star reduction. So
that's kind of difficult.
I was thinking, you know, that the thing that really stood out with that the Subaru telescope image is the blue in the outer bands, and I assume that's accurate, but I wonder if that's just a difference in the color mapping.
I think it is a color mapping thing, because I know that in general, the most, at least in my experience, the most bright reflection nebulae are from blue giant stars. And so, well, obviously, because it's reflecting, it's going to reflect something around in the blue area. But like you're saying, I'm looking at that. When I go and look at that image, it's, yeah, it looks like they accentuated the blue quite a bit. I'm more used to seeing the outer dust bands like you're talking about, or well, it's actually more of a mist of stars and dust, being a little more on the grayish blue side. So not as intense as they have it there, but well, to each his own as far as how you want to process. So. Okay.
Dean, I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Down in the bottom left-hand corner of the image, there's a lot of stars or something down there. Is that something in the Milky Way, or is that part of the Andromeda? I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
Let me put the screen share back up. You're talking about down here in the bottom left?
There, and even moving over to the right some.
I mean, my assumption is anything that you see that's a bright star in this field is in our own galaxy. Like the stars in Andromeda are going to be so small they wouldn't resolve as individual.
No, what I mean is on the very extreme bottom left-hand corner, and then moving over just a bit to the right, you see the glow of almost like it's more Andromeda.
Oh, the glow in the background here?
Not yet, where your pointer is and down. Yeah, there, and then over to the right some.
Over here?
Yeah, right in there. It almost looks like the the nebulosity of all the millions of stars from the galaxy.
Yeah, if you look at the Subaru image, which is my screen background now, it definitely there is the stars there. It's kind of like a blue band.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. So, okay,
And
yeah.
I've never noticed that before, and I think it's really neat.
It's almost as if the Andromeda itself has almost like a hammerhead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it. I know my setup had some problems with back focus and probably flatness of the field. So I just kind of didn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest.
Well, it certainly looks like nebulosity of some sort.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go look at some other pictures and compare.
So Naveen, another question. So this is a mosaic, right?
Right.
Well, where were the how are the panels oriented? Is it top, bottom, left, right, or
Left, right.
left, right? Okay. Okay. Who would like to go next?
I can go next, Chris.
All right, go for it, Ron.
Okay, see if I can do this right here. Oops. Okay, so nothing compared to those guys, this is nothing special. I'm a lot further behind than you guys. I've only been in this for about 1.5 years now, so I'm just kind of getting into it. And I took this picture in October, just out of my 80 millimeter reflector with a ASI 183 one-shot color camera. The big deal for me on this one, this is my first image I ever did in PixInsight. So this was I broke my cherry on this one. So I look back on it now, even just 3 months later, and go like, okay, didn't get the stars white and some things like that, but it was kind of my first shot at it. It's 61-minute exposures.
Dust bands look really good.
Dust bands came out. I was pretty happy with that. I think I could have. Next time around, I'm gonna try to shoot some shorter shots to do the middle a little better, to get a little more definition out of that, maybe using deconvolution or something like that. But again, this is a pretty cookie cutter approach to doing. I use Sean Nielsen's tutorial to try to learn PixInsight. So I've read about 3 books now, and I think I'm getting better, but there's other times I think I'm getting worse. So for those who use PixInsight, you probably know what I mean. There's times when you think you about got it figured out, and then all of a sudden something goes really wonky, like it did last night for me, or night before last. So, but anywho.
Well, like a lot of things, I think some of the different aspects of PixInsight, there's so many different aspects to PixInsight as far as processing goes. You can pretty much do the same kind of whatever tinkering like 20 different ways. So, I mean, that's what I'm learning from it too. I mean, I'm still struggling with PixInsight myself. So, but
I think the confusion, Chris, and maybe not to get too far off topic, but the thing I'm beginning to figure out is if you read different people, that some, believe in extensive use of masks, which Sean Nielsen's one of those that uses masks for everything, which is good, and it does a great job. And then there's others I've read that use, they do the star masking and extract it, and then just use a starless image and do a lot of processing. And I still haven't quite figured. I try it both ways usually when I do it, and I'm trying to figure out which is really the preferred method to get a lot of the details out, especially around HDR or decon or things like that. So, but 4 months in, still learning.
well, I mean, you look at this image, and it kind of goes back to what we were discussing earlier about the Subaru image. Yeah, I like the coloring that you have for all the reflection nebulae there. It's like I said, I'm used to seeing it as being grayish blue, and that's kind of what you got going on there.
Mm-hmm.
That looks most natural to me.
The stars just need to be wider.
Yeah, well, What can you do?
Yeah.
Okay, who would like to go next?
I'll go, Chris.
All right, go for it, Don.
Yeah, I have, if I do a share screen, do I have to open the image up first, or, well, let me just try it.
You have to make sure that the window is open
Okay,
on your computer, and then when you click on share,
there you
should see
go.
a selection for that window. Very good.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I took this image on January 4th in my backyard. And this was taken with my Canon T3i and a 40-year-old 105 millimeter f 2.5 telephoto lens. And obviously it had to be stopped down. It was stopped down to f4 because the lens is pretty bad on CA. And the camera was mounted on a Vixen Polari Sky Tracker that I modified. I have a picture of that I can show too after this, what I did to it. And this represents 64 1-minute exposures at ISO 1600. I also ran 15 darks and 15 flats. And to get the stars to look anywhere halfway decent, I had to go in and defringe them in raw therapy. And I also had to reduce the star sizes. And as there's still, you can still see a little color in some of the stars. I didn't go probably far enough, but I think the color looks pretty good in the galaxy.
Yeah, it looks good. Now you said that you did this in your backyard. Where do you live?
Southern Granville County.
Southern Granville County. Okay, well, I guess that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
in Raleigh, right?
no, that's I'm between. Actually, I'm not all that far from the old observatory the club had in Lewisburg area. Maybe seven, probably 7 miles from that. I'm between Creedmoor and Franklinton.
Okay. All right.
So the sky is between. Skies are probably most of the time Bortle 5.
Okay, that's not terrible.
And at times maybe 4.5. Yeah. Let's see. I wanted to show the setup I used. How do I? I'm not sure how to do that. But maybe. Oh, that's yeah. Yeah. This is the setup. This setup is I have.
We can't see it yet, Don.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what to do here.
I guess just close this picture of Andromeda and then bring up the picture of the setup.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, okay.
Looks like you're sharing just an app window.
Yeah, now I see the. I do a new share. Maybe that's it. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I got it.
Or stop sharing, then oh yeah, there you go.
Do you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, I bought the Star Tracker, oh gosh, back in 2013, maybe 2012, so there weren't too many. It's a good unit, a little on the expensive side. It has some limitations, although it's well made. And what I'm showing here is with a lightweight tripod. This whole setup can fit in a gym bag, and I can take on the airplane. And their components, Vixen, are they're well made, but they're really kind of ridiculously expensive. And originally, the unit didn't have a polar scope illuminator. And so I made a simple one that you can see in the image there, and turn on and off. And instead of spending another, there's an attachment that fits on the adapter on the Polari, and I didn't want to spend another $170 for their silly extension arm with a counterweight. So I made one out of what I had in the garage for nothing. I have a little table saw, and I cut a slot in it so I can do the polar alignment, and cut out some circles in a 1/2-inch plywood. And then I had a Metamucil bottle that I've filled to a pretty much full with quartz pea stone, and then pushed in some bubble wrap to keep it in position, and that counterweighted the camera lens. And I also adapted a red dot finder to this setup, because this is a real pain in the butt to try to point this, especially when you're close to the meridian. It's still a pain in the butt, a definite neck strain, but otherwise it does work, and it takes pretty good images when I can, point it.
Hey, Don, is the counterweight shaft like wood or something?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it didn't cost me anything. I mean, I would have had to spend another, I don't know, $170 to get there fancy. And actually, this is lighter, and I used a simple formula for cantilevers so that it would fit in the gym bag, and that I could use that container with the right amount of stones in it. I could play around and put lead bullets in it or whatever, but yeah.
Well, you got the shot, you got the bow wrap wadding. All you need now is gunpowder.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
I love that solution. That's great. How you made that. What lens did you say was on that?
That's a Nikon 105 millimeter from 40 years ago. It was a pretty famous lens. Not that great for astrophotography, but it
What's
works.
the biggest?
Didn't do too badly.
Mm-hmm.
What's the longest focal length you've done with it? Is this as big as you've gone? I mean,
Yeah, it gets more and more difficult. I could do 135, and if I'm crazy enough, I could push it more. But just getting it on target is more difficult.
yeah.
You need a bigger Metamucil bottle.
Yeah, here you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Who'd like to go next? Anybody want to go next?
My only M31's outside your date parameters, so
How dare you? So,
I have one. I'm just share briefly. It's not very impressive, but
what you got?
well, it's this is my first experimentation with LR RGB, and I had a very short window, and I didn't. It's just the LRGB. There's no flats or darks or biases. I have since then have gotten those, and I'm still working on it. And the thing that's blocking me right now is I realize I really need to stop and learn how to use PixInsight correctly. And so I'm still working through that, but I've got some good subframes, so I'm pretty optimistic I'll be able to improve on this after I process the subframes I took after the ones I used for this.
Okay. I'm sorry. I missed it. What was the setup you used?
It's It's a William Optics GT81 with a 0.8 flattener, and it's the same camera, same sensor as Naveen's, but it's the ASI 2600 mm, and it's LRGB. But I had, this is based on a very short window where I only got light images. I didn't get any darks, biases, or anything on this. And I have since then gotten those, and I'm still working on it. But this, this is basically what this is. My first ever attempt at doing mono imaging.
All right, that's not too bad. I mean, it's you were able to do all three of those, or excuse me, all four if you want to count.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not too bad. I guess the only thing that's like distracting, because, well, we're imagers, is just the blackness of space is like all those different blotches of color there.
Yeah. And it's because I didn't do flats, and I didn't do darks, and so it's just, this is based just purely on light frames. And I went through and I used Fix Insight, all the easy scripts.
Okay.
And
well, I mean, what you could do is go ahead and go back and just stick your camera outside and do darks like that on any night.
yeah, I've done that. I've gotten darks, and I've also gotten flats for all the filters. I just, this, I haven't finished processing them yet, and so this is the only image I have to share.
Okay.
I'd be willing to bet if you took this image and ran it through DBE and Pix Insight, it would flatten that background out pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Yeah, for not having any calibration frames.
I ran it through. It's already been run through once. It's just because I didn't do flats, darks, or biases or anything. This is just all light files. It's it was kind of limited on what could be done with it. I mean, I'm happy with it. The field is really good. I got round stars and things like that.
Yeah, the stars are nice and tight. They don't distract as
All right.
much as other images. Okay, who'd like to go next? John, not you. Okay. All right. Well, I was the one that pretty much kicked this off. So yeah, I'm a slacker. I don't have anything to show. So shame on me, shame on John Sadler, but I'll let it slide. John, what did you have to show us?
Oh, you want me to show you anyway?
Yeah, let's go ahead and look at it.
All right. I'll waste everyone's time. Let me see. Where is it at?
Time's up.
You guys see it?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, this is 136 30-second exposures with my ASI 1600 color camera, which is is like a unicorn now. They disappeared a little while back, and it's with the 80 millimeter triplet refractor. This is one of the first goes I did with that camera. I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. Burned the core a little bit, but otherwise it's okay.
Well, very good. You haven't revisited it since?
I haven't. I've just really gotten settled back in and started doing stuff here again. Now I'm in Tennessee, so I haven't just revisited it, but I am going to. I want to revisit Orion first. So.
Okay. Well, did you do this one in Tennessee?
No, I don't think so. I think this one
back in Apex.
Yeah. This was in my backyard in Apex. Okay. So it's an old one, but it's my happiest M31.
So John, is that down the lower left corner of the galaxy there? Is that dark nebula in there? I'm trying to, right where you get your cursor.
Right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but it shows up in all the data. So
It's something.
yeah, it exists, whatever it is.
I think that has its own NGC classification. That's part of a reflection nebula in Andromeda. I think it's got its own NGC.
Yeah, it does. That right there is actually just a huge star cluster. It's sort of the same effect as the Pleiades. So you have a large cluster of blue giant stars right there. And well, because again, they're reflecting nothing, the dust is reflecting nothing but the blue color of the blue giant stars. But yeah, it's like, yeah, everywhere where you see like knots going around the nucleus, I guess, or the core. Yeah, that's those are usually just areas where stars have just like coalesced together, or not coalesce, but have a common center of gravity.
Very cool.
Then, like you said, the black lanes and whatever, those are just dark nebulae, which most of the time
You
is
can look at the super image. That's definitely accurate. That's a very bright spot.
okay. I guess that's it. Anybody else wanted to go? No? Okay. Well, before we stop recording, or we get on to the next part of the meeting where we start showing our work that we have done since the last meeting, in this case, the non-imaging target challenge in 31 images. I wanted to see what everybody's thoughts were on doing the next one. So the next imaging target challenge, we have to propose, I'd like to propose it for January, we're in the month of January, before the end of January. And wanted to see what everybody thought about like doing M42 Pleiades or some other object that's fairly easy to image with just about anything, like we've set out to do with the challenge. Anybody? Any thoughts? Any debates?
Well, I'm actually planning on re-imaging M42, so I'm kind of biased. So
Okay, so you're kind of biased. Well, I mean, because the whole point, or not point, excuse me. One of the things that I'm trying to look out for each quarter is knowing what comes up at a fairly decent hour, and and is mostly high enough for our latitude here. But so like M42 and especially Pleiades, they're pretty high up here, so you can like sit on them for a while when they come up, and they come up at a fairly decent hour.
Well, Chris, with such a wide variety of imaging equipment, it seems like doing something like M42 is probably the easiest thing for everybody to do.
Yeah.
it's going to be the most forgiving for light polluted areas too. Like I got a street lamp, 50 feet from me.
Just a matter of finding it in the sky. If you don't have guiding, that sort of thing, you can see it with your eyes. So it's pretty easy. Of course, you can get on the jack or something like that pretty easily too. And they can all be seen with the eye. So if you're just trying to aim your camera at something, then they're all relatively easy to see. But
Okay. Well, anybody else have any input?
Well, I think Pleiades is a broadband target, and M42 I guess could be either. You could do it RGB, or you could do it narrowband.
Yeah, I guess from that respect, M42 would be a better choice, just because you can hit it in any direction: narrowband, RGB, wide field, narrow field, mosaic, and go on and on. So I've only seen one really good image of Pleiades as a wide field, but it had IFN, was it interstellar flux nebula, and just dust, just random dust all throughout the Milky Way, was showing up in that image, and it was pretty incredible. But I'm rambling. All right, well, I guess well, I mean, there's 13 of us here. Let's just go ahead and settle it then. We'll settle on M42 for January, and we'll look at everybody's results for the April meeting. Is that cool?
Good.
Okay, very
Sure.
good. Okay, well, I guess that's a wrap. So thank you for everybody coming. We'll go ahead and get started on the second half of the meeting.